Back, everybody. We're getting into that fourth matchup. It's Arial Arise taking on One Shot, and you know who I know is a little bit excited for this one. Wouldn't it be you, Forceful? I think you've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this just a little bit. Considering I've coached the majority of this
Yep.
entire lineup for both teams. I have a little bit of a history, like a tiny little history with
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit,
this
just a
roster.
little.
It's
Yeah.
the smallest little
Well,
history.
that first roster is the one I would say you're most familiar with.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at a roster. You got Reed, Sink. You've got Freak, Mohesi, and Jay. All five of those players are fragging. All five of those players, have got extensive history, except for Reed Sink in Challenger League. It's a core roster. They like to work hard. They like to put in the effort forward. They've got a good leadership core in Reed and Jay. It's a team that has all the pieces, and yet it's a team that throughout this stage we haven't really seen what we want to see from them. We want to see them, at the top of the leaderboard, but it seems like so far throughout stage one, they've been struggling. There's been a lot of hiccups that we're seeing throughout this team.
Mm-hmm. Now, kind of as a reverse over on the side of One Shot Cookies, this is a team full of people that just don't try at all. They never work. They don't do anything. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, man, totally. Totally a bunch of non-granders. Jokes aside. Gotta say I'm happy with what I've seen out of One Shot, especially I know Swalen's a highlight player. Swalen's the GOAT, right? The guy plays all these different roles. Let me read off some of the ops he's played. Cali, Jackal, Hobana, Twitch. He plays everything. He's the greatest flex in CL right now, I think. And obviously, the numbers back up my statement. He's also playing a smoke on D. What can't he do? And of course, NVK, the big name on the team now. He came from XSET. I talked about it before in previous segments. It's a very apparent XSET wasn't his place, but he's kind of finding his groove again on One Shot. He's looking a lot more comfortable. He's looking, dare I say, he's looking like it's 2018 all over again. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Maybe. We'll see. Today's going to be a big test.
Yeah, these guys are on a huge streak. So just so everyone's crystal clear, it was very much a parody. These guys work hard, but Arial Arise, Forceful, you just said it. They work hard. There's so many good things you can say about this team. They're just waiting for that success to follow up.
And I think a lot of that success comes from ironing out the kinks. Right now, from one of the games I'm seeing, you saw versus TTK on Theme Park, there just seems to be some form of communication breakdown. They're getting this information, they're getting them on drone, or they're maybe not droning. They're lazy when it comes to their drone work, and they're just missing these tiny details. And these tiny details are mattering because on the entry department, we're seeing them go fairly even. But if you look at the roster, look at the pedigree in terms of support, they need they're a team that should be dominating on entry right now. And right now, it's just not consistent. It's kind of 50-50. And I think the biggest issue that they're having as a team, if they can shore up that communication issue, if they can shore up, getting that information at the entry and not getting caught off by surprise. I've been talking about it all day, but I really do feel like, Arial Arise could be a team that you should be at the top of the leaderboard and can definitely get up there.
Yeah,
now, yeah. Sorry, continue, Cookies.
Oh, it's just look at all their losses. They're by inches.
Yeah.
It's not like they're getting blasted off the game,
No.
Yeah, they haven't lost a single game in regulation yet. That's big.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about another team that also hasn't lost a game in regulation. One Shot. Looking pretty good. NVK, like I said earlier, finding his groove. It's looking a lot more comfortable. And it's huge because they made that roster move, right? They made a pretty significant one. Storm is out here doing 24-hour streams, just looking like a puppy in the rain now with no team. And they made that move for NVK. And at least for now, it's sort of paying off. Of course, Swalen's a huge part of that. Like I said, I have nothing but good things to say about Swalen. He's been playing exceptionally. But as I said, I think this Arial Arise team is probably one of the bigger tests that One Shot has to deal with, rather. And I don't know, we're going to put all my hyping of One Shot to the test with this next game.
Yeah, I just can't do that. I got to go Arial.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why would you vote against your team, right?
I can't be that biased caster, but I'm going to be this game. I don't think it's going to come out for One Shot at all.
You've become the thing you've always hated, Force. How do you feel?
I mean, you either you die a hero, live long enough, become the villain.
Yeah.
So,
now,
full circle.
Tanner, I know that one of your criticisms with the last two teams was maybe lack of map pool. This is the third and fifth team. I would think and hope that they have deeper map pools.
Oh, absolutely. I have no idea where this is going to go. There's strong maps for both teams. I think if, One Shot lets a map like a bank go through after what we've been seeing with Arial Arise and the performance versus Alistar last week, that'd be a massive mistake. And vice versa, if what Arial Arise let Clubhouse go through, I think that's also a massive mistake. So, we're just going to keep jotting through these maps. Chalet is a map Ariel's kind of struggled on. Again, another dominant map from One Shot we've seen all the stage. And there you go, One Shot. And this is what's important. This is what drives me nuts about these 5 map teams is like they don't understand, like, being able to ban your opponent's best maps. Arial Rise getting Club and Chalet out of there. One Shot being able to get Bank and Oregon out. Like, that's why you want to have a large map. You don't want to take your opponents to what they feel comfortable on. And of course, we're going to be going back to Villa here. It's a map that I feel like both teams are, hit or miss on. They don't always perform, but that's what you kind of want. You want to see that slug match, and having a big map pool in both teams, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the map that both teams are like, they're okay on. They're not great, but it's whoever's the most okayest today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely not a decisive map winner here. I think both teams have shown that they're willing to play more than Oregon and Club. Unlike a lot of the teams we talk about, these two teams probably have, dare I say, best map pools in CL.
Speaking of being comfortable, I think we are finally we're settling into Villa. Now, here's the thing. We've seen 2 Villas so far today, back to back, but they felt very, very different from each other, Cookies. Like, we noted that as we were watching the last one. It was like, you know what? We are back to Villa, but I really do feel like I'm watching a completely different matchup. What are the chances now that we get another entirely different Villa than we've seen?
Oh man, it's gonna be at least different from what I remember, because this is a Villa, of course, post call out Arial Arise Villa. Going back to the old days for us, maybe you could speak on a little bit more. I liked what I saw. I remember when they used to duel it out with Gacha and whatnot, but of course it's different era, different time. How are you thinking they're gonna maybe arrange things, or how things may be different in a post call out world?
I think this game's going to kind of turn into like a mixture of the previous 2 games we just played, where we're going to be attacking drones. Teams are going to be going in half blind, because both teams understand you don't give free map control, you don't give anything for free. And I think it's going to turn into a slug match. Things like lurkers and flank watch are going to be super important here, making sure that you're bringing enough information so that when your drones are attacked, you're able to keep good situational awareness. Things like Zero, things like Nomad, things like Iana, I think are going to be the real key operators for teams to be bringing, because like I said, nothing's going to be given for free from either of these teams. I think both these teams are coming in prepared. They both are on a hot streak. I don't know. I think this is going to be a good match, regardless of whose playstyle is more dominant right now. I think this is going to be a slug match, regardless.
I have one for you. Back to you, Tanner. As a coach, as we said, we've changed things up. We've gotten rid of those playoffs. Is this one where, if these 2 teams seem to be teams that are emerging from the pack, or better than average teams, would this be a game that these 2 teams choose to kind of really remember, because they feel like, hey, this is a team that down the road, when those stage 3, the official playoffs happen, this is a team that we're gonna have to look out for?
I definitely feel like that's going to be the case. I know teams will go into this game, trying to like take mental notes of how each team plays. Obviously, everyone knows the most important game is the next one in front of you. But if I was a coach, still, I'd be circling this one on the calendar. I'd be putting in the extra effort to try and make sure that I came into this game prepared. I knew the rotations. I knew the entry points that each team likes to take. And like simple stuff like drone pathing will go a long way. If you come in prepared, I think you're going to have success. And obviously, this game, based on the standings, one team's going to go into the top 3 if they win this game, and one team's going to sink. So yeah, I think this is a very important game.
And Cookies, one final question before we get into it. The way that these 2 teams size up against each other, what is going to be the differentiating factor that wins for a team or causes the other team to lose?
Actually, didn't get to talk a whole lot about Slippery, though. I kind of skipped over Slippery, actually. This is the perfect time to say it. Slippery, looking for a big game out of Slippery, because I got to speed up. Kilo, and everybody else, Kilo, Swalen, MDK, they've all had their hero moment game. Looking for Slippery to have his. He's stepping into a different role. He's playing a lot more sledge and whatnot, which that Storms used to play. So hopefully he has a good game. He'll need to be. He can't just disappear. At times last year, he would be a little streaky and disappear for swaths of the game. Can't be the case today.
Well, I know that the players are dying to get into this match, so we're not going to
too.
hold out any longer. Cookies is dying for it. I know Forcefuls is dying for it. We're going to get
So
into it. Going to
excited.
Villa again. Arial Arise taking on One Shot.
What is up, lads? I want to be honest. I've been looking forward to this game all day. Like the other ones, I'm excited to see West Garfield, see if they can come out on top, see if they can better their record. Oh, I'm excited to see how TTK stacks up against AQ. But, like, if you look at the 5 games playing today, and you're not looking forward to Arial Arise One Shot the most, 2 teams who have stacked up well against LSR, who, to be fair, for last weekend was the undisputed top team. Come on, how could you not have this be your game of the day?
Yeah, and again, a lot on the line for both teams as well, and it only makes sense we'd want to go onto such a slugfest map, such as Villa. We had all the powerhouse maps gone, all the maybe uncomfortable places banned too, so now we get to go and cast Villa for a 3rd time in a row.
Okay.
But this should be a pretty fun one, though.
That's what I was going to say.
Despite the fact we've seen this map a couple times in a row, it's going to be very unique. What we had on the 2nd and 3rd match, the 4th one, it's going to be like a whole new coat of paint on the Italian map.
It is unlucky that what will probably be the best Villa is coming as the 3rd Villa. So if we're unenthusiastic about the map, it's not because it's these 2 teams playing on Villa. It's because it's our 3rd Villa of the day. But it is these 2 teams playing, so we can be happy about that. First 2 bans up, Thatcher and Ibana. Not too crazy for Villa. Gonna be real with you guys. Valkyrie as well. We saw how powerful she could be left up last game. Get her off the board this game. Don't give that opportunity to anybody on the roam. As Tanner mentioned, trying to take down as much intel on the attack as possible when the defense roams off the site could be the name of the game for these 2 teams. No point in giving them even more intel as a result.
Honestly, was potentially thinking we would see maybe a Nomad ban perhaps to help enable that roam game, especially with the team play and general structure of both One Shot and Arial Arise being very clean. Having something that's a little unorthodox to want to ban all the time wouldn't be a horrible decision to make, but Noah being on the board, probably going to be a hard pick almost every single round with how potent the roam game can be. And I mentioned structure, Arial Arise opting for probably one of the most default lineups you can bring for Aviator and Games Room. Wamai, no Jaeger, funny enough. I thought we'd see him on the board as well, but still having that Wamai, tons of general stall, both the smoke and the Goyo packs as well. And instead of the Jaeger, still the Surya Gates in the hands of Freak on the Aruni, so it's basically the same idea, just different operator.
Yeah. Plus, with the addition of those Goyos and his Vulcan packs, you don't get the shield, but you have a little bit more versatility with where you place those packs. You also get more to place as well. Even if you, say, don't have that Jaeger to stall out time on main stairs, or don't have that Tachanka to stall out time anywhere on this part of the map, you still have those Goyo packs that, if you're able to get an angle on them, can waste an ungodly amount of time wherever they are placed. So, still a lot of denial on the board for Arial Arise going into this matchup, and we'll see how One Shot decide to deal with it. Arial Arise aren't putting, an immense amount of focus on main stairs, so One Shot could play into it, or, as you can see, could instead go for a full clear for the map.
Swellen having the ace to get open hunting, why it makes sense to want to go in through Master, and still have it being range breach, of course, it's going to make that study rotate pretty easy as well. One Shot, though, almost get into a small tussle against Mo, but they aren't going to fully push that out, just preemptively break it in case they spotted something, I suppose. So the roam game still being just fine, although tons of intel is being gathered by One Shot. Everything is just going according to plan, and probably next 20 seconds, though, we might see that fallback happen, or just outright aggression, since there are so many players stacked up in this main, or master position.
Ooh, unlucky for Slippery right there. CJ, if you were hoping he was performing, not a good omen to start out this game, as he hops right in the bathroom window, peeks towards read sync, but then falls. And unfortunately, Subarctic might get one. He reacts in time as he hears Mo move outside of the doorway, but it appears to be, again, going in half blind for One Shot right now as they lose a body to read sync, and Mo down below. Make that 2 loss to Mo. One on the bottom floor, one on the top floor as well. No, it was actually Mo in the basement dropping Case. He doesn't even play for it. He knows that they're going to have to trek across the entire map to get it.
Well, at least they've got a minute 40 to potentially do that. NVK currently in the basement, maybe trying to recover this case, and no one's here guarding it, so this should be an easy pickup. Still 4 versus 2, though. Not much map control being established, and the fallback is completely confirmed now by Arial Arise as well. So now they can play with all this util. They've got 3 toxic smokes. They still have a couple of Goyo Vulcans on the board, impacts, nitro cells, really the whole 9 yards at this point for Arial Arise. And although One Shot have a lot of time, their utility game is nothing in comparison to Arial Arise in this final minute.
No. Plenty of time, though. Still have 3 drones active. between these two teams, at least active, and that they can use them to gain more info as opposed to just sitting statically. How much that'll be worth, how much they have to fight through, to be determined. NVK will start pushing up 90. Nobody in Books Hall right now, so he'll find nothing. But he can take some solace knowing that nobody's going to peek him from that area. We'll also pop a Vulcan pack, so nobody from the defense can move up. Now NVK, the only one left, as Jay peeks out, cuts down Swalen, moving into the site. What does he to do? He's now sealed off his only entry point. One does almost give themselves away over by Books, but pulls back. Doesn't take the fight. NVK will just wait the final 30 seconds, hoping to get 4 kills that'll likely never come. Freak misses the shots, but again, it's just a matter of time before NVK likely ends up losing this, as everyone from Arial Arise is playing close, playing their trades, playing their teammates' contact, not letting NVK have an opportunity to clutch this one out, and one pump from the shotgun seals round number 1 for Arial Arise.
Structure being the main thing for Arial Arise, having so many different positions just completely locked down. Again, like 4 to 3 people roaming across the map, something you don't always expect, and clearly One Shot had no idea that was bound for them going in around number 1, and they didn't adjust at all because, again, they just weren't expecting it. They were completely halted during that clear, and at that point, they just kind of had to pick up the broken pieces of glass, and there was just too much glass to worry about there on round 1. But if that exact same play were to happen again, I would assume One Shot would want to go for more of a direct take and potentially have the retake position be the key thing to break the back of Arial Arise if that were to happen again. But we're not going to see it for a little while, as now we're heading to Trophy and Statuary.
Moving over to the other side, we'll see if Arial Arise decide to put as much, or I suppose just put 2 bodies across the map like they did previously, or as opposed to Aviator Games, if they want to stick players more close to the site, maybe put 1 or 2 down below instead of over on the same plane. Have to see what they decide. We can say for certain, though, wanting to extend or at least have the option to put pressure onto the players inside a bedroom. 1/2 of the triple panel, or 1/3 of the triple panel, I guess, unreinforced, allowing a hole looking over towards closet. If anybody wants to push up aggressive inside a bathroom, they might have some aid with somebody playing on that triple panel. We'll have to see if it works, or if One Shot even bite into it.
One Shot is aware that the extension's happening, though. They just droned it out near study, so if they even want to go for that push like you had mentioned, Carter, at least they will have the information to potentially work with. And not having 4 people stacked up between both bar and study /AV, this should theoretically be way less challenging for One Shot, and they also get the intel on Mo's position too, so they could potentially go in for a tag team and get a very simple opening duel, but also having Freak here as well. A lot of trade potential for not only One Shot, but also Arial Arise, and the fallback has happened just slightly. I believe Mo is now completely confirmed walking away, and looks like Freak will follow suit in that manner too.
Not going back too far, though, still wanting to tempt One Shot to clear them out. Try and pull them a bit far in and snare them a little bit more. Maybe they'll die doing it, but hopefully they'll waste some time in the process. One Shot aren't biting right now. Subarctic will hold back for the moment on the top floor. Slippery NVK holding back on the bottom floor, not trying to get too ahead of themselves as it's only a minute into the round. But Freak and Mo will take that in stride and say, okay, we'll sit living. We'll wait for you. You want to push? We'll be here, whenever you decide to.
One Shot just about ready to think about maybe fully rotating. ReedSync is actually waiting for someone to hop out the study window and could maybe get a kill, especially on someone like Swalen. If no one pushes with him or nobody has the intel that ReedSync is playing that aggressively, that's your hard breach gone. Triple wall can't get opened up properly, and then you most likely have to go in and funnel. But with One Shot still having to worry about this mid-floor presence, it looks like they're not going to have any time to rotate just yet. And now that Slippery falls, that's one less set of grenades to play with. And just like that, I called it earlier, ReedSync catches Swalen off screen. That's your hard breach gone.
Well, minute 10 left, 3v5. Still have some bits of utility. They got the grenades, they got the Rotero drones, and time to use both of them. That's what they'll have to hope for, is what works for them. Because if they can, maybe push ReedSync in an uncomfortable spot, pull Mo out from behind that bomb chassis, they could bring this back to a 4v3, make that even a 3v3 if they're able to. But it's not working so far. They're now just waiting, hoping that Arial Arise give away something, but as Mo peeks out, they give away 1 kill. But they still have bedroom control, and Freak gets active again against an NVK. So now they have to worry about, again, the man advantage further slipping away from them, but most importantly, Reed holding that brick store, who can basically, alongside the player playing behind the A-bomb, just take down anybody pushing in through statue door. Kilo makes quick work of one, and now goes the bedroom player. It seemed like maybe the 3v5 could be workable, but it's the 4v2, now the 2v2, that gives One Shot the little opening that they needed. C4 goes out, and while it goes wide, they're still able to fight back as Reed and Jay both seal out the final 2 kills, and Ariel get 2 in a row.
And with both One Shot and Arial Arise being such veteran teams, I mean, structure, that is just the aim of the game. And that's exactly what we saw. We just saw a rather default push out by One Shot. They slowly push back Arial Arise, but not enough to fully commit against them. Eventually, they ended up having to bite the bullet because of that losing on that first duel. And as they were trying to rotate to not force the funnel, that's when we saw Reed Sink as well find a kill of his own, 5v3. But then we saw a bit of overconfidence, I suppose, or maybe overcommitment to some angles by Arial Arise that did allow One Shot to kind of feed themselves some 1-for-1s, but still having the long range to play with and not having to worry about Master Bedroom, that did allow Arial Arise to fully tailor how they wanted to hold in that final minute, even though things were getting really down to the wire when they probably shouldn't have.
Well, 2 very solid defenses so far, even if, again, as you said, still came down to the wire, still maybe getting a little bit over-aggressive inside of the site. Here, oh, we've seen Villa 3 times today, everybody. I don't think we're gonna look at this and say, oh god, what could they be doing? What could Arial Arise's idea be here? We've seen this. We've seen the pulse down below. We know he's gonna look up, give the intel to the players off the site and on the site. If anybody, you know, says pushes through laundry or pantry, we have Freak, who can play off the site wherever the hell he pleases, really. Over by Aviator, over by Living, really wherever he wants. But there's going to be some players on site, 1 or 2. Going to be some players upstairs, 1 or 2. And then Freak in the wind on Vigil. We've basically seen some amalgamation of this in the past couple games on Villa.
Well, so far for One Shot, their early game hasn't been all that phenomenal, just standard. And then when they get in those positions to go for gunfights, they either are just completely sidelined by someone at Arial Arise, or they just simply lose that 50-50. Maybe having some better positions and a bit more aggression that could potentially help against Arial Arise's war of attrition currently, but so far it's not going to bear any fruit. Freak is playing rather aggressive near Library, but doesn't die outright and can just always fall back, and no one's playing for that cutoff near Mudroom, and he'll do just that. He'll go for the safer call, and if need be, he can always condor one of his teammates and needs backup, and they could establish a trade system if that is the eventual decision here by Freak.
Nobody outside Mudroom window right now, so he can be comfortable for the moment. Well, not well for the moment, but he's got to deal with these players pushing in through study right now, or library, excuse me. Take some damage from NVK, who's watching the angle just below that chair, hoping that Freak gets a little bit over-aggressive. But Freak, too, says, oh, small opening between the chair and the floor. That's an angle I can use to try to get the advantage on you. He falls back down instead. It's about a minute 20. He's gone. He can head back towards the site, either aid the upstairs players or the on-site players, whatever he feels. But because he's gone, here's that one-shotter focusing more so on this direct, but as the pulse goes out, Swaylin reads into that one perfectly, and what I was about to say was the on-site players need to be careful. Now, even more so.
Now that Pulse is gone, a lot of information is completely removed here. But if you're not aware there's someone currently flanking, that could be big. Subarctic is going to win that one out against Jay, but Mo has still playing on this top floor and having some work with Reed Sink in his back pocket too. This could be nice. There's Freak on the flank though, finds a singular kill, but eventually traded up by Kilo. Still the main advantage, and with both players off the site, they have to go for the retake. Mo has caught in the rotate, almost dies, but he's the only one left to stand, and he'll meet the exact same fate as the rest of his teammates, except just a floor lower.
That was a gut-wrenching play right there for Mo. I guess maybe that's not the exact word, but he impacted that door right as somebody walked down red, and I was very stressed when I saw him try to enter in a memorial under the hail of gunfire. Nice thing there for One Shot. They're not able to take down Freak. Oh no, you couldn't clear out the Vigil playing on a roam. Unlucky. Honestly, probably the best that Freak just didn't kill one of you. That's a win in and of itself. But then they start pushing across that top floor. Mo admittedly hits a nice shot in 90, but beyond that, kind of a similar story to the late round in round 2. People from Arial Arise start peeking out or start rotating in front of attackers, and One Shot are able to get their openings, except this time, instead of in the site, it was happening on the roam. One Shot are able to effectively get the man advantage, and when Freak goes for the retake, he actually, uncharacteristically for Freak, misses a spray with somebody's back to him. Bit unlucky timing there as well, so not entirely his fault, but overall, One Shot made quick work of that roam once push came to shove, and the site players weren't long for this world pretty soon after.
Now we get to see if Arial Arise want to go for the exact same 4-man roam game all the way near Master and also the first floor as well. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen just yet, but still the roam game being an option, not a bad call. It'd be a great way to not only win the opening duel, but just waste a lot of time. The fallback, especially if cutoffs are not established by one shot, are very straightforward. You drop down in through the main skylight and just walk around through jungle, maybe go back up red stairs. You can still waste a lot of time in that position or just completely fall back into the actual anchor presence, which also is a good option because, again, all that util that Arial Arise has in their back pocket, they really don't have any of their eggs in one basket. They're just currently spread out evenly throughout both the early, mid, and end game position here.
Freak certainly spread out from the rest of his team inside a trophy statuary right now. Plenty of one-shot attackers content to come away with this kill if he gives them the opportunity. He'll stay behind the panel for right now. Not wanting to get too aggressive. He'll just chill for the moment. Subarctic also going down below. Likely maybe to go for a nade if he wants to, but maybe just clearing out that position. He's got to worry about Mo, who's playing down here before previously, all the way back in round number 1. And I believe he's all the way down in the basement at the moment, so Freak could join either him or Reed if he wants to. It is only 2 on-site players right now, and Rome isn't exactly doing a whole lot. Maybe we'll see maybe the Red Stairs player catch Slippery off guard as he pushes up out of Boar. Freak getting aggressive, hoping that somebody peeks, but nobody's biting just yet. One shot still holding back for the moment.
One shot are rather distracted as well by the mid-floor presence too. Freak could definitely evade some of this pressure, but has to break the Vulcan just to buy even more time. But there's the C4, a good call in tandem, and that will still give Arial Arise the first of many kills potentially to come throughout the rest of this round. Freak now falling back in the basement could be another option to go for a late round flank, especially no Nomad. He definitely catch a couple by surprise, especially if he walks up through Astro stairs.
He's also just, barely crept by Subarctic. It was not a bad clear by one shot to deal with the Red Stairs player. Somebody coming in through Trophy or Statuary, somebody coming up red as well to deal with him. Could have been a dead man, but he just barely sneaks into the basement and makes his way, not back towards the site. He's actually still over by Master Bedroom right now. The rest of the attack is maybe not even aware of his presence. They're focusing on, well, hitting the site. They've only got 50 seconds left, and they haven't really a lot to show for it beyond clearing out Red Stairs and some of the off-site players. And with none of them off the board, they got to worry about them coming back from the grave, or not really coming back from the grave, but coming back in the end game. Maybe not with the C4, but with a flank up Red Stairs or a long flank up Astro. As you said, no Nomad on the board, something that One Shot have to be worried about with their flank drones hopefully still in position. Vulcan packs exploding, smoke canisters detonating, time wasted to the nth degree by Arial Arise on that skull doorway right now. So much so that One Shot might have to rotate, push up books instead. Still spending a lot of time trying to see if they can push on in without having to waste too much. But NVK Subarctic both pushing from the back. Might get one kill on top of the main stairs. Mo caught completely off guard, but Freak finally hits the flank. The pistol kill onto NVK. The site player's doing work. Kilo can't get this bomb down in time, and Arial win it not on time, but on all the kills coming in with just a second to spare.
A little bit of a self-stall there by One Shot, but can't really blame them. They had no more hard breach. They actually lost the ace first and foremost and still had tons of utility to deal with after already spending so much time having to clear out both players like Freak, for example, who also had Vulcan packs to stall as well, and also the mid-floor presence, which all they had to do was just rotate up main stairs once they were finally being pushed out near both living room and library. So everything was accounted for by Arial Arise once again, and One Shot were just kind of left picking up the scraps as is. And because we saw a slight change of play by Arial Arise altogether, it still kept things unique. They were able to diversify themselves and, like I mentioned, still have everything accounted for no matter what time frame they were at.
I'm going towards Trophy Statuary. Arial Arise, if they want to keep their, their pocket watch out. Want to keep track of, okay, when we want to make these plays. How should we do more damage to One Shot's time? Do we need to do we need to hold back for the bit, let them stumble over themselves? Still have a lineup, and I imagine a setup that can very effectively do that. That's the one thing that has surprised me about Arial Arise, at least in this game, is how consistently they've kept with just trying to maintain at least loose presence in as much areas as possible, even if it's just putting Freak in an isolated position. Normally the worry there is he gets pinched out and ends up dying, but so far, they've been able to do some fairly solid work on it. Here, it's a little bit of the same thing. Reed by himself over in trophy statuary. 1 or 2 players down below as well. Arial Arise trying to keep a loose presence on the entire map, and so far, even with, Reed being isolated, One Shot have struggled to capitalize off of it.
The one major thing has been the lack of cutoffs by One Shot. That's been a given, which allows people like Reed Sync to just fall back, play for long range, and not have to worry about getting shot in the back. It's been a very big presence, at least right now. Everyone just kind of chunked up and study, and look at the conga line leading back into sight. They understand there's big presence in this one singular direction, and they'll just try to readjust themselves to better counteract that. Freak is receiving a little bit of pressure in towards the first floor once again, but now he has backup by Mohes as well. So it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows, and there is a strong chance that despite the information being here by One Shot, there is a trade that could be very abrupt soon if they actually go for that push.
Again, good by Arial Arise, not letting things get too far away from them. They want to have more concentrated presence. They don't just put utility there. They put 2 players there who can play off each other's contact, not let the plot devolve too much. One Shot have taken Reed's retreat from Aviator Games in stride, made good progress on that top floor, but beyond that, still a 5v5, full utility. But there goes Mo, right as I say that. Sabarktic able to take down 1 prong of the 2-man defense of Living Room Library right now. That'll likely indicate Freak retreating back momentarily.
Nice to see we have a slight change of pace here for One Shot, actually having someone move around to stop a late fallback, which has been a very big constant by Arial Arise. So that 5 versus 4 shield destroyed, weakening the presence overall by statuary, but not really having a lot in terms of master position. Could be quite hectic, but now that Reed Sync actually gets down and has to fall down through the hatch, it's technically a 5-on-3, and this does leave a huge opening here for the offense.
Here is Freak finally getting active, hops down all the way into kitchen to revive Reed Sync, but they have to be careful. Going back up these stairs can be a treacherous task with Kilo, Sabarktic, everyone from One Shot over in this area. They'll start heading on in. Reed Adams has to react in time, but he can't even do it. A nade pops in his face, blows him to smithereens. Jay going huge with master bedroom control. Make that a 3K for him with a beautiful shot onto sub. 4 for Jay, retaking probably the most important position on this site. Beautiful play and positioning and gunfire by Jay.
Once again, master bedroom, it allows for Arial Arise to cater how they want to hold, still having enough presence inside of trophy room, especially after we had the rotate back up Astro stairs. Jay he made the proper call. He didn't want to hold directly into statuary, especially after the shield got destroyed. He wanted to play for range, play to the Syria gates to make sure he didn't get naded and could just utilize the 1.5 on the AUG to click on heads 4 in a row as they almost lined up for him and didn't anticipate anybody else but freaking Reed Sync to be playing inside of master bedroom, fun enough, although that's one of the strongest positions to hold, not only to stop a statuary plant, but just in general stop a push from happening at all from the left side of the map, because you can just play for range, and depending on where the plant goes down, you can actually deny it as well just by playing with range and bedroom.
So overall, really solid positioning by Jay, and well, 4 kills as well, like solid, good work, but you're the GOAT. You got that 4K. You don't need to worry too much. Timeout here, obviously, by One Shot. Probably good timing for it as, again, sure, you have villa defense. But in reality, something's not clicking from One Shot, especially because of letting that bedroom presence go unanswered for. Clearly something going wrong when it comes to trying to just overall contain the defense. Going to kitchen, though, this was the one area where One Shot got a round win on the board, and to be honest, John, it was a pretty solid one. It was not one where it felt like they just squeaked by or were relying on the mistakes of Arial, though they did get the opening pick because Reed Sync went for a run out right in front of a drone, so they did have that gifted to them. But beyond that, overall, some solid positioning. They're able to work their angles effectively enough to deal with the roam presence. At the same time, though, Arial Arise know they're going to kitchen after they won Aviator Games and Trophy. They had time in that timeout to talk about their own setup, and now with Freak on the Vigil, we have the same issue as before, where you gotta hunt him down. And the big thing previously was not that he didn't have an or that, he had a negative impact. It was that he just didn't have one. He was pretty neutral for most of the round. If Freak gets active here, we have to see how One Shot actually work in, fully reconciling with his presence.
Big thing has to be the timing, though, for One Shot. It was spot on when they were attacking Tiny Room the first time around. They, again, had a decent job. They cleared out at least the extension to a fair bit, but they also had proper timing of knowing when that fallback was going to happen, so they actually positioned themselves to stop those rotates and just simply win out positions they normally wouldn't have, but Freak just gets aggressive, and the timing was not there quick enough to save NVK's life. One of your main secondary entries already gone, but at least Slippery's there to trade, and one of the main fraggers for Arial Arise is gone, but still at such a great cost.
It does a lot of damage in terms of utility. NVK hasn't been having the greatest game so far. Then again, you could say that about 3 separate players on one shot right now. NVK, Slippery, and Swalen all on 1 kill right now through 5 rounds, and well, for NVK through 6 rounds. So it's definitely been a poor performance for a lot of players on the side of one shot right now. So taking out Freak, honestly, if you're just looking at kills, maybe that's a fair trade. He's been their top performer behind Jay, their main off-site player. But if you're looking at utility, definitely favors Arial Arise a little bit more. Here, they've lost Freak offsite, but now the main problem, as before, is dealing with these players in Trophy, Statuary, and Astro, and off a long angle, Mo just tips the scales a little bit further in Arial's favor.
Minute 30 to go, and still dealing with this extension and not having the right spots to actually deal with the fallback. It does look very problematic here for one shot, and unlike last time, we don't have, someone like Reed Singh just running out his pulse to go gather some kills. No, he's playing quite reserved in this position, and probably catering more or less off the fact he can play for Vert with the secondary shotgun, and also maybe have the Frostmats catch somebody in a pretty rough predicament later in the round. A minute to go still. One shot still at deficit. They can gather tons of information, but can they play off that information? That's the big question here.
Might be able to use that remaining Dokkaebi call to reveal the positions of any remaining roamers or anchors on the site. They're able to time it properly. Maybe even use that to get a nade kill. They want to really, really try and play loose, play off those sound cues. Right now, Subarctic in the 4v3 knows that one shot don't exactly have a lot of very easy entryways into the site. You'll hear the Dokkaebi call, crouch, walk up pantry stairs, and hope that maybe he can catch somebody off guard behind that barricade. No opportunity presents itself, unfortunately. A lot is based on Slippery and Swalen hopping through, but oh no, Swalen hops in a Frostmat. Now it's on Slippery to revive him. Gets a kill before he does. Reed Adams on the mute, cut down, but Subarctic taken completely off guard, almost whiff the shots. Mo does, but he still wins it out. Reed Sink with 2 kills, make that a Frostmat injure and a 2K with the 9mm, 5-1 half for Arial Arise.
Noticing a general lack of Nomad there has been allowed to, or has allowed the flank to be quite predominant here for Arial Arise. They tried it on Dining Room last time as well, and although Freak kind of dropped the bag for the second kill, it was still enough to keep them kind of scampered. One shot eventually came on top in that last altercation, but this time, a much more reserved Arial Arise and a lot less pressure actually established on that top floor, with the defense actually going away on their own terms, just play for sight when they already had so many traps and a lot of general denial for information. Mute on the board counter a lot of the logic bombs that would have gathered a bunch of information there for the offense, and also just drone game in general, which has been, like I've mentioned a lot, decent in the beginning for one shot, but towards the late round, they begin to flounder a bit. And maybe it is just a defender-sided Villa at the end of the day, but to a degree where it's a 5-1 split, I'm not entirely sure about that, Carter.
And we'll just have to see how this half ends up taking us. I know for certain that Tanner's feeling real good right now. Going to the second half. Tanner he's living life. He's happy right now. And to be fair, it's been a very good showing for Arial Arise, and we talked about how all their losses have been in OT. I think we're all at least a little bit disappointed that they have been able to close out a lot of these games. But this, combined with the 7-2 they had over, it was LSR, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why I second-guessed myself there for some reason, but this combined with the 7-2 they had over LSR last week, this is the Arial Arise that we were all expecting to see and are now, well, actually glad that we are seeing, that this was the team that is capable of performing at this level, but not just performing, but being show-stopping at this level. They can get a solid attacking round as well. I mean, this might be wraps for Game of the Day.
At least overtime guaranteed at that point. 6-1, a very tricky slope to actually come back from. Well, there goes the Flores Rotero. Breaks an ADS. I don't think it cut the barbed wire, though, but still, SU did a play off of here for one shot. And that's the one enjoyable thing about Flores, is he's just a one-man army. He can just do a lot of clearing on his own, and then the rest of your teammates can just kind of pick up the slack when needed. Even against some mute jammers, depending on how they're placed, you can simply evade them, and that will happen. The shield removed, and Swalen is in a very risky situation at the moment, and if Arial Arise can just continue to aggress upon him, that could be a very quick and isolated kill to make it that 5-on-4.
Taking down both fronts where his utilities placed, the ADS is in the shield. If he wants to play on main, he's probably going to have to get aggressive at least a little bit, or time his peaks right, or gunfights right, if he wants to do so. We just waste a little bit more time. Another Rotero drone cements his position on the main stairs for the duration that it's on the floor. And Jay and Reed Adams, I almost said Reed Sync by accident, but I meant Reed, the man with the diffuser, both now just creeping in. Subarctic has a nice angle watching the bottom of main, though, so that is something that Arial need to concern themselves with. They get too ahead of themselves, if they get, red in their eyes trying to take down Swaylin. Mumai could very well cut them down, but oh no, he lets it slip by. Let two stomp up the stairs. One gets a kill, but Kilo with two. A very well-placed C4 that does not only multiple bits of damage to Mo and Reed, but takes down Jay and Freak as well.
Minute 10 to go. Now lost in the sauce a bit there for Arial Arise. At least they get control of main stairs finally, but not much besides that. Still enough time to go out and drone. Some of those mute jammers, though, probably played to actually stop any intel from being gathered in the final minute. Can now allow one shot to be a bit more lackadaisical. NVK still in that light roam extension, too. Can deny a study push quite easily near that skull doorway. Hops back into sight, but still playing close to that vault doorway. Might catch somebody off guard in the final 40 seconds.
Could very well. If you could just catch them in that off position, don't need to worry too much. Take that in stride. Ooh, long impact grenade. Try to destroy something on the opposite side of that reinforcement. Well placed as well. It's the last of Reed Adams' Selma charges. Mo dropped on the floor, 50 HP. Close quarters with, I'm not even sure what gun that was, to be honest, but Kilo picks it up. 3K for him so far. And both Reed Sync and Reed Adams, this won't be a confusing 20 seconds. Now try to push into the site, but with multiple guns trained in their position in close quarters and a long range as well. Swaylin with the shotgun finally peeks out, but he misses the pump. Let's Reed Adams get away with that one. But now Reed is the only one left. Life got a lot simpler for me, but a lot more complicated for him. Kilo gets a 4K. That's a simple number for you, but overall, nice round by one shot to start out. We can say that for certain.
Having a lot of backup against the smoke, despite we saw a lot of pressure dealt towards him. We had the Flores drone to confirm that he either has to run up the stairs into Reed Sync's line of sight on the Flores, or he's stuck in main and is probably going to get grenaded. Yet we didn't see a grenade actually be thrown out at the right time to kill him. And because of that, he really got away with his life, almost robbing away a lot of the utility that was brought up by Arial Arise. And again, having Kilo with that heads-up play, went for the Nitro Cell toss because the vertical play didn't work out, still found two, and that just overall strengthened their general site presence. And Arial Arise, they couldn't go on the grand rotate heading up through either red or 90 window. They had to play for a very, I wouldn't say a funneless, but a very one-sided attack, that last second take. And even the hard breach actually being counterintuitive towards them as well, because that's how I think Kilo found his third kill, was actually shooting through one of the openings in AV wall. So really nothing worked out for Arial Arise, despite how much prep they put into actually clearing out that main position.
Maybe Trophy Stature will serve a little bit better for them. If you were confused for a second because you saw a Pulse sitting down inside a kitchen and you were like, oh, they're defending the first floor. Well, silly. You were wrong. It's all good. We all make mistakes. It happens. Welcome to the club. But no. One shot are actually running a Pulse to hold down below. Aid the defense on the top floor, obviously. If they're going for a direct, be like, hey, one, they're pushing here. Two, I can play for the C4. Of course, there is always the worry that Arial Arise could put a lot of focus on clearing out kitchen, and Kilo's position could be dangerous, but instead, looks like they're going from the south side and pushing on over.
Once again, and in a study. And doesn't look like there is a roam game that's super prominent. There is one player in 90, that being NVK, but it's not going to take that much time to actually fall back. Shocked we didn't have anyone playing on board window, though, for the cutoff angle, so that is going to actually allow NVK to get away scot-free. Full HP for the Malusi, and although the map control is here by Arial Arise, they will still at some point need to rotate and probably also deal with the first floor presence too, because I believe the Pulse of Kilo is still doing just fine playing near both Memo and Kitchen.
And he's chilling with approximately 0 people attacking him right now, so he'll just, he'll heartbeat scan to his... I was going to say heartbeat scan to his heart's content. I didn't want to make the punt, because I'm not Brim. I don't do it. I don't do that. That's not my style. He'll heartbeat scan as much as he wants, with not having to worry about anybody from Arial putting any kind of pressure on him. For the rest of the attack, of course, we're slowly moving on over. Moved up into 90, starting to move up red. Slippery might, maybe feel a little bit of pressure, but it appears to be a complete rotation. Or not a complete rotation, as Mo solo clears down below, cuts down Kilo, and now, starting to see them instead go to open up that triple panel with that Pulse removed.
Gonna definitely be a big sigh of relief. Not only to get the opening kill, but you don't have to worry about that intel anymore. And having to get Nitro Cell from underneath when you're opening up the triple wall, like you had mentioned, Carter, things become much more simplistic. And VK, that will try to change up that process, bring back the chaos as he does go on that flank, hopping into the basement floor. But if he takes forever, going on this full rotate, that could still give a lot of time for Arial Arise just to open up the triple wall and go for rather default push for the final 50 seconds.
Freak, I do believe, shot that Electric Claw, so Reed will say thank you very much. I'm going to put some Soma charges on these panels now. Don't need to worry too much about them getting K-tricked or what have you. Mo with a second kill, or the second kill of the round on a slip, playing up inside of the site. They now fully cleared out Statuary, so to start moving on in with this breach and that door cleared, they can make good work of this, though Swaylin with a single pump cuts down Reed's sink, but Freak getting active inside of the site. He's chilling right now. 3 bodies can now cover Reed Adams getting the bomb on the floor, but Subarctic is biding his time inside of Astro, playing for the retake, waiting for the attack to start moving, getting into their post-plant positions. He almost wins the fight with Mo, but a 3-piece for the Sledge and a 2-piece for Freak. The duo, the GN duo, eaten up in this round as Ariel finally grabbed match point.
And for NVK, I don't know what he wanted to accomplish there on that flank. At first it seemed logical, but then, like I had feared, he took too long and never made up his mind. I figured maybe he'd want to go up top red, and that would kill anybody who was still lingering near the bench area slash, you know, the bore window entrance leading in a trophy. But no, instead he went up Astra when the Aegir was already holding that position and didn't even play Astra Stairs directly to guard from bathroom. It was a aggressive push into Mo, and he won that gunfight. So that really nullified any hero play that was attempted by One Shot, and because of not only losing out on the man advantage early on, but also being very low in terms of resource on the site itself, especially with MVK going on that last second flank, they're now looking down at match point pretty early in this best of 1 series, Carter, and that play just in general did not sit well with me, along with the lack of general team play we saw really throughout that entire round.
Yeah, game of the day could be our quickest one at that. Of course, I believe our ETK Carnico game was a fairly quick one, so not like it would, you know, be the quickest by a wide margin, but would be sad, unfortunately. We were robbed of a closer series, though I will say, after the TTK one previously, I'm okay if we have a little bit of a shorter one, not gonna lie, especially in the fashion that we saw that TTK AQ game. But I am hoping that we can see One Shot fight back a little bit here. They have maybe a solid opportunity on Kitchen to catch Ariel off guard, playing down below, still got that pulse, got a few C4s, those EDDs as well. The Subarctic actually all the way over by main right now, so hopefully he can get back to site in time.
I briefly mentioned the lack of team play. I want to emphasize that a little bit more. For Arial Arise, when they were going on these very emphatic roam games, they would have multiple people stacked up against one another. And even if that wasn't the case, at least they had the option to go for an early fallback. We didn't see that at all by Kilo when he was playing Pulse. He was there to sit the entire round and just hope nobody cleared him out, or he just had the intel to go win that gunfight with an advantageous position. And then we also just saw the general lack of site team play as well by One Shot. A lot of people just wide swinging engagements they shouldn't really have gone for without a little bit more seconds burned off the clock. And now we're beginning to see that again. We had an immediate fallback in anyone trying to go for that lurk presence on the first floor, allowing Jay just to hop in with little to no troubles. And one player on the roam game, from what it looks to be as of now, there are 2, but rather spread out. NVK's playing on red, and Kilo is in between both Bathroom and Astro. So again, a lot of emphasis on isolation here for Arial Arise, and they should be able to get the first kill with no hitches really attached.
Well, we'll see if they end up doing that, because if they turn their attention to the top floor, that might just be true. But with everyone from One Shot being very camaraderous about all this, never mind, Freak just hops on in, but that's exactly what happens. Subarctic alongside his teammates are able to cut down one, though Mo trades it back, but finally Arial Arise slowly start creeping in. It's a complete bloodbath at the entrance. No C4 lands, but a kill from Reed Sink, and well, not much anything else from the rest of his team, unfortunately. Looks like he might be taking a little bit of a tactical timeout here, an effective one at that, unless he wants to go for these kills. There's one inside of Memorial right now. Throw a flashbang in. Might blind the K, but I think that might have been around the corner. Now Slippery will swing, or he'll hit an EDD, which will reveal his position moving into Memorial. And now he'll go back out for the time being, and finally be finished up by NVK. So, the rush in through Library, where there might not have been anybody on the horizontal, there were still players on the site, and they were the beginning and the end for Arial Arise.
If they had just taken a little more time there, I feel like that play could have been a bit better, or just not went for it. Don't get me wrong. Immediate map control, you are knocking on the door of sight. You are just asking yourself, do I want to go for that rush or not? Probably want to wait a few more seconds. You are expecting someone to play on that top floor. No cutoff angle being established there. No flank watch. You're expecting to get pushed in from the backside at some point, even if that rush goes off completely well with no issues. And even then, I don't even think there was a full understanding of who was watching what. It was just a full body step-by-step, I guess, for Arial Arise. It was more or less just kind of a troll round for them. But if you look on the bright side for Arial Arise, they've got rounds to bleed. They still have a 3-round advantage, and they just need one more clean attack, and that's wraps against One Shot. But still, risking that against One Shot, don't know if that's the best idea. Even when you had a 4-round advantage against them.
But at least, like contrast, this right here with the AQ game we just saw. I know, like, very similar, right? But
clearly.
Yeah, but with the AQ game, even up to round 6, their attacking half are like, okay, still need to see an attack that actually makes me feel good feelings by the end of it. Whereas with this, yeah, Arial have lost 2 out of the 3 attacks they've gone for, but the one that they've won was genuinely clean, was genuinely good. So we know they have the capacity to do it. Now, whether or not they can transition that to Aviator Games or Kitchen, that's to be determined. But as opposed to AQ, where you and I were waiting for something more convincing to appear, we know Arial can do it now, and it seems a lot more likely as opposed to then that in, a span of 3 rounds, they can get at least one.
Biggest problem here was I would just probably dumb it down to maybe the general timing, I guess, or having more activity by everybody, but read sync perhaps. We had multiple people trying to push in from bottom main after the Rotero drones were activated to break the shield and a couple ADSs by Swalen, but after that, things got rather quiet. We didn't have anyone, rotate near that top floor, for example, to maybe help near 90 pressure. It seemed like, although Arial Arise knew exactly where the smoke was playing, everything but that, they were kind of running in blind. And it looks like they're taking a slightly different lead up on this round. They still want to clear out main almost the exact same way, but they're being a bit more proactive on the roam game itself, or the roam clear, pardon. But they might have missed drone Kilo. That's going to be matter of fact. He finds one on a Mo, and looks like Zofia of J is nowhere near to get that trade. He's expecting a cutoff angle, but it's a drop down through the hatch, so Kilo will live to fight for a bit longer on round 10.
Yeah, good play by Kilo. Just get the kill, drop out. No need to. It's an Aviator Games defense. You don't need to hold living room and library all that hard. Just pop back down. You got a set of nades as well. Just chill on the side with the rest of your team. Beautiful kill by Kilo. Great impact by One Shot early on. Now for the rest of the round, Arial Arise will completely rotate. We already saw Reed, Adams, with the diffuser, chilling over by bedroom, but now Freak, Jay will all join the rest of the team in clearing out the trophy statue area, but it's a ghost town. There's tumbleweeds rolling through the area. There's NVK on red, but beyond that, everyone's already pulled back to the site, and Arial Arise have a hell of a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to do it.
I don't know if they checked for him either. Looks like they actually did detect him, and it looks like no one's here to actually help out MVK. There's a Nitro Cell, a little bit late, but still connects onto Reed Adams, and the flank by Kilo. That's sure as hell on time. 4 versus 2 for One Shot, and now very limited options. Freak just hops in with no information, tries to win his one, and Slippery just mows him down with the bullet holes. One Shot will take yet another round on their defense, and that one really went off quite successfully.
Yeah. Though thankfully it was, I believe, due to the missed drone of Kilo. Of course, he's able to get that first kill. We see Jay drone through literally all of library and all of living room, and he did not spot Kilo sitting in there. So Kilo just gets his one, gets his freebie, hops down the hatch, doesn't have to worry. But then he doesn't rotate back like I, said he would. He instead stays off the site. And unfortunately, since Arial Arise, as I did say though, don't have a lot of time and have a lot of work to do, they get heavily focused on clearing out NVK while also turning their attention towards the site. Kilo takes that opportunity and the ensuing chaos as they try to clear out NVK on red to go for a flank and a C4, both of which hit, and single-handedly he's taken this round from a 5v5 to a 2v4. And all they suffered was NVK playing on red, who was just, playing his life, delaying more time anyway. Overall, it's just funny how one singular missed drone ended up causing such a long chain of events when you also add in just a little bit of time spent or wasted clearing out the roam.
And that wasn't even the problem last time for Arial Arise. It was just they weren't expecting Kilo to get so aggressive in the top floor, this time it being the first floor, funny enough, and trying to maybe over-accomplish there a bit for Arial Arise. It definitely caught them lacking, but still, 1 round away from victory. It's all they're going to need, and they did play a rather decent trophy room, to be honest. I mean, they won with a brilliant setup. They had immediate aggression, got the first kill. They rotated at a good time frame, and they also allowed a lot of isolation still, which has been the major issue for One Shot overall, is it's just been Kilo running around and shooting people, and then towards the end, it was also the Ella running around and shooting people. Hasn't been a lot of great team cohesion all that much, besides just the util in its position.
Well, util can certainly go a long way, but yeah, as you said, hopefully we see something a little bit more put together overall.
5 seconds to go.
With that timeout, though, both teams getting a minute to talk things over, to figure it out. I'm sure, hopefully, from both teams, we'll see some great play, even if this ends up being a 7-4 for Arial. Hopefully, hopefully it's a round to remember, so to speak. So, Pulse this time by one shot, which we saw previously on their defense, specifically of Trophy Statuary as well, who was chilling down below inside a kitchen, but he kind of just gave himself as an opening pick to Mo, since he was by himself, and, well, Mo shot him. Unlucky. Nobody played for the trade. This time, though, NVK, you mentioned team play. Not really playing with the team, just playing up aggressively inside of books. Tries to shoot a drone, but once he misses, or once he gets the drone either way, falls back pretty quick, and now isn't trying to give Ariel the opportunity for a 5v4 early on.
Really sad.
Oh, no.
Now there's someone born.
All right, never mind.
Oh, but the timing, unfortunately, is not there favoring Mo. They had the right idea. They changed up. They made an improvement, yet it just failed at the very last second, tripping at the finish line, essentially. Kilo going to miss his mark, though, the Nitro Cell as well. So neither team able to get that 5v4 favoring themselves just yet. Freak now deciding if he wants to go and clear out from the lower regions of the map, potentially, and almost finds him something, but he's going to wait for maybe some more team pressure. Air jab gets placed in red, so maybe we're not going to have Freak play in that position just yet. Maybe he wants to use the nade just more linearly to clear out the site presence and not have to go for that vertical play.
Also can watch the flank on red stairs, see if anybody down below decides to, make their unwanted presence known by pushing up from the first floor. Won't find anything just yet. Half the round is now gone, and it's been fairly quiet. Some shots exchanged early on, but beyond that, one shot have been waiting on the site for Arial to make some noise and push forward. There is one playing inside of kitchen, though. Kilo pushed far up, now contending with Mo, holding that angle. Doesn't appear that Mo knows that. That sounded like a stinker of a shot from Slippery onto Freak. Sadly, we did not see it. But that does give one shot the advantage they need. Kilo doesn't have to feel pressure to make a play down below. Neither does NVK, for that matter. They can continue waiting for the storm.
Arial Arise as well. Like last round, they had the middle floor cleared out, and VK is still potentially going on a flank near red, and I believe we still have Kilo playing underneath unless he moved up in Astra as well. So general positioning for one shot is much better in comparison to what we saw last time in this trophy room stack up, and Arial Arise just much slower. They don't want to risk losing another life. Mo still expecting Kilo to be close, but doesn't know exactly where it's going to give a 5 versus 3 now for one shot, with really everything failing them in the final 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's just clearly Arial Arise operating half blind, like Tanner mentioned. Phrase still proving true so far. They'll even try, I was about to say, surely they're not going to try to open up the triple panel this late in the game. Well, even if they try, it's not working whatsoever. They'll just have to funnel in through bathroom. One playing close quarters. Reed knows there's one on Astro stairs. There's one to his right, one to his left who's getting active. That's Slippery that was cut down by Jay. Reed gets a big kill, but there's Kilo on Astro stairs still making it happen, and Jay with only 4 seconds left can't get the requisite kills, and one shot narrow the gap just a little bit more.
And that was a really cool idea, don't get me wrong, to have both the Iana and Ace kind of play together, and if there was someone playing close, they would have to go maybe swing in towards the actual door leading from Statuary, not expecting that person hopped up near bathroom to actually go for the aggressive play, but they swung together, and it almost worked, but unfortunately the mute having better range there, they just had to sit, look pretty because Case was dropped near the bathroom doorway, so it had to be a 1-for-1 in terms of kills and no post-plant position, so that just looked to be a strong ground for one shot. And in the early game, they were much better about it, at least knowing when to fall back and when to kind of play together. And like you've mentioned a couple times, Carter, the general sense of knowledge by Arial Arise just hasn't been there in comparison to what we saw. In the beginning rounds, they were fantastic at isolating out people like Kilo, for example. Your top fragger now dead. You don't have to worry about that play near, Tetris, for example, or Kitchen. But now it's Arial Arise kind of scrambling the final moments to just kind of pick up where they left off and see if they can at least refrag and just win via the kills, because their hard destruction isn't working out well, their util clear isn't working out, and even their drone game has been rather lackluster in these past couple rounds.
Well, we can't even say that, Kitchen is not a sure bet, obviously, but we can't even say that, this is truly their opportunity to get the round they need, finish this in regulation, deny overtime, whatever we would say in that position, right? This wasn't even particularly a super close round for Arial Arise. They pushed in through living and then hit the site. They didn't do any work. No clear up top. No even seeming full intel on the site players. they just pushed in and they died. And it was over and done with in like a matter of a minute or two. Thankfully for Arial, they're being a bit more thorough here. There is still some offsite players that they need to deal with. And if the intel is going to be, 50% there like it has been the past few rounds, I'm worried that NVK gets a kill, goes off, and they're still playing for overtime. But no, here, NVK falls. Maybe they still have a 7-5 in them.
I'm just glad we saw Arial Arise finally have someone at Boar window at the right time
Let's go.
to kill NVK, going for the same retreat that we've seen almost every other round, except for on AV. So now one of those main roamers gone. That's a huge excitement there for Arial Arise, big morale boost, but still not completely over just yet. There's more than one person playing on this top floor, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows for Arial Arise, despite the fact they've got the 5-on-4. Tons of long angles that can be contended by Kilo, in particular with the 1.5 on the 9X, and with no one playing up near Master Bout just yet, it does seem to be still a rather linear attack by Arial Arise. No one on that late rotate just yet.
We'll hold this position down for right now on the top floor. A lot of the attack is actually moving down to the bottom. Swaylin, ooh, very aggressive inside of Laundry. Takes down Jay, moving to that doorway. Again, one of the teammates rotating from their push on in through the southern side. He goes to the doorway. I guess ends up falling to Swaylin. But now Arial Arise will try not to waste too much time mitigating that with some new control on the top floor. But oh no, Kilo cannot escape in time. Puts Reed to 1 HP, but ends up falling to the DMR. So these on-site players that were there before don't have any roamers joining them now.
Ooh, both gathering tons of information, but no one to play off it besides him and Swaylin at the moment. 4 versus 2, and looks like some vert will be established. Great C4 by Swaylin, though. 3 versus 2, definitely much better in comparison to that 4-on-2, so not over just yet for one shot, and the droning is not there, which currently will be matter of fact. No one expects Swaylin to be playing so aggressive near the hatch drop. He finds a triple on the mute, and now things are equalized once again.
Somehow just caught them completely off guard by remaining completely still. Mo going big with a nice kill, just almost saves it. And Swaylin now on 1 HP. He's got the diffuser, but a nade right in front of him. He can hold the diffuser from below, but Arial, they're on the opposite floor. They got to go for these kills. They'll hold an aggressive angle, a very aggressive one at that, as Freak reloads his lengthy magazine. But Mo spots the head, and it's all said and done. 7-5 for Arial. They stopped the comeback by 1 shot, and they finished what they started all the way back when it was 6-2.
And pretty much after the timeout as well, Carter, they really cleaned up their act. They had the idea of better coordination that didn't consist of everyone just pushing in from the exact same side of the map and doing nothing. On their last trophy attack, we saw exactly that, with 3 people hopping into Master and really only 2 of those people doing all that much, where we had Mo trying to do almost all the heavy lifting by himself on Sledge and having no backup and just trying to be self-reliant in a very taxing position. But that time around, we had really everyone do their part, getting aggressive when needed to make sure the fallbacks weren't possible, getting the opening pick as well just to start off with good momentum, and end out the round in a very clean 2 versus 1, because although we saw Swaylin pop off, he was basically trapped in Laundry with really no escape options and maybe running out and giving away his position.
Overall, I was worried it would not be a close one, but thankfully, well, 1 shot or Arial Arise, depending on how you viewed that 6-2 to 6-5 round differential. One of them ended up treating us to a lot closer game. So we'll toss it back to the desk to break down that close victory for Arial Arise.
Yeah, Link said it best there. For the viewers' benefit, we did get a closer match than it initially looked like it was going to go. But Cookies, that's what I want to talk about, is One Shot kind of maybe possibly shooting themselves in the foot, that they look like they might have been able to come back if they hadn't have dug themselves such a hole on their attack in that first half.
Yeah, I guess I got to preface by saying both teams clearly struggled on attack. It was rather underside, but roam clears really for One Shot were kind of problematic. I saw a little bit of Slippery was a little ineffective. Slippery's hopping in, no trade, first round. Subarctic. Obviously, they brought on Subarctic to be like a Terminator, a killer, get in there and get it done type of guy. But there wasn't really any of that from Subarctic. He did get a couple entry kills, but it was like, he could have more presence. That's always been my main criticism of him. And then, of course, there was a lot of other struggles. Swaylin started really slow. And despite playing a whole bunch of different operators like he always does, NVK kind of struggled too. And obviously, you can't really manifest anything out of your attacks if you're not, getting the entry picks to progress the round, I would say.
Yeah, now this is hard to decipher. Was this a one-shot loss? Was this an Arial win? Arial Arise Forceful, though, has looked like a team that has been getting better at figuring out their roles on the team and what each player brings to that team.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, touching on your first point there, when it was 6-2, I thought this was going to be just an aerial win. They were playing really good. They're playing really decisive. Their attacks look pretty sharp. But then, you get into like the third round on the attack half, and they just started looking sloppy. That slug match, like I said at the beginning of the game, just started to show itself. One Shot's not a team that's ever going to just roll over and die. And then, but Arial Rise, if this was the same team we saw 3 weeks ago, would they have been able to pull this win out? I don't think so. I think they're a team that started the season with not a lot of cohesion. They were just they'd just been a roster for like a week before CL started. And now I feel like, they're starting to come into the role. You see players like Jay just absolutely start to shine in this new second entry role. He's got frag grenades. He's able to kind of pop off and be a difference maker for his team. Freak and Mo also had a really good game. And you start to see that cohesiveness, that decisiveness come out a little bit more. I just wish it was a little bit cleaner on the attacks, especially when it came to, dealing with the lurker that was Kilo. Kilo was just everywhere. He was just being such a thorn in the side for Arial Rise.
Well, I'm going to do a nice little segue here. We're going to move from one coach to another coach. We're going to talk to Smitatius, the current coach of Arial Arise. Smitty, how is it going? This turned out to be a nail biter at the end, didn't it?
It did turn out a little bit of a nail biter. Our attack got a little bit scruffy, but we ended up closing out, which is, a story that we need to learn more often, for sure.
Now, it was good, though, that you guys were able to build yourself such a lead in that first half. What was it about your defense that was just clicking that you were able to take that first half 5-1?
It was pretty easy. The name of the game is the name of our defenses was literally the word capitalize. Once we capitalized, we ensured our victory. And that's the important part, ensuring your W's.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I was just asking Tanner about, and I'll also ask you about, is we seem, as this stage has gone along, we're looking at these players that seem to get more comfortable in their roles. Everyone had good stats across the board, except maybe a bit on Reed, but correct me if I'm wrong, he's IGLing, so that's a bit, stats aren't...
Or Reed Adams?
Reed Adams.
Okay.
Correct?
Reed Adams is just a beast, period.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who he performs, he's just a beast. I love that guy, man.
But the roles they've been a little more solidified, people getting more comfortable, is that correct?
Oh yeah, of course. And yes, to answer your question, he is IGLing. But so is everyone else, so.
Yeah. Complete team effort. At the end of the day, you guys got the victory. Congratulations. Any final words you want to send out to the fans, anyone watching?
Well, obviously, I just want to say thank you for the fans watching. It really means a lot. You guys giving us your support and your love and your attention. We need your attention, guys. Keeping it frank. And shout out to Tanner, man. I'm so happy that he's on the desk. It's just gonna be some good stuff now that he's over here.
Yeah, we've been having a bit of fun with him, so that's good. He's
a good
fit
guy.
Right in. Yeah, we're enjoying it. Thanks a lot, Smitty. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
So, look, you could tell that Forceful enjoyed that one. Just a little bit of a shout out back to him, doing a great job with us so far. But Forceful, I think this was your last match with us today. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my last match today, and I'm happy we got to end it on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Smitty's face up there too. Worked with that man for so long. Such a great analyst, great young talent.
Mm-hmm.
Last match for the day. Thanks for having me. Every game's a little bit better. Hopefully I keep improving. A little bit of fudging up some words there, especially in the second map. So just happy to be here. Looking forward to tomorrow's Playday, and I guess I'll see you guys all tomorrow.
Yeah, it's only the start. Now, talking about start, we're going to segue over to a finish. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll get our final and fifth matchup of the day. It's going to be Nocturnes taking on Outlast. Last but not least, we'll see everyone in a few minutes.